Hello, Robertson. Yeah, I forgot to, excuse me. Let's just see it. I missed a few names there. Hello, everybody. Hello, Kelly and Judy and Joe. Oh, just Judy. Okay. It's wonderful to see you, to be seen and to have the opportunity to speak with you tonight. Just clean off my glasses. And I think I'm going to try to set up so I can see on I've made a mistake here in that I've forgotten to turn off some of my alarms on my phone, and I'm using it. And let's see. But there's no way for me to reconnecting. Okay, I'm just gonna disconnect briefly in this weird way, just to turn off those alarms because it's gonna just keep popping up. I don't know how to get to it. All right, sorry. And wouldn't you know, I just couldn't figure out how to turn it off. It wouldn't work, so it's gonna keep interrupting me. Gosh, but we'll see. We'll see how it works for the first 10 minutes. It doesn't work from my watch. Just shut it down. Okay, so let's see. Who else is here? Oh, let me just set up on the computer too, so that maybe I can see better. Hi, Christine. Hi, Lula. Oh, Angie. Okay, great. I did not know that. And okay, and then what I'm gonna do is turn off my sound. Oh no. Okay. Let's see. Am I gonna get the notices that way? No. Okay. Hi, Manisha. Hi, Sandra. We'll see how we keep up with this. So, what I'd like to go ahead and do first is begin with the meditation and just talk about what I feel like I've been guided to go over with you all. Hi, Terry. So in the beginning of this year, just been getting some information to sort of help us to prepare ourselves for the breakthrough that this year in 2020 will offer us. Yes, hi, Judy. I'm glad you're back. And they really want to show us how to, hi Kim, how to step into this this year with clarity, and the thing about the breakthrough is that we would be breaking those cycles. So that whole idea we've been talking about with the pause, the sobering breaths and reflection. Just to do that helps us to remember that we need to engage in a whole new way, that we don't want to just keep letting those habits keep motivating us and keep facilitating the same obstacles and lessons and challenges. So tonight, what I'm going to do is, and I think I mentioned today, is that I'm going to pull cards for the first quarter of the year. So for January, February, and March. And so for the next, I think there are 3 weeks left in January, we'll do the remaining of the year. And we may get some insights in terms of a predictive, but what I really want us to look at is how we can participate in this breakthrough energy that they've shown me. I forgot this card. Let me just go grab this. I think you can probably still hear me. This deck is the Marielle Tarot. And I don't know if any of you have worked with this deck or have seen this deck at all. And I'm looking for the Nine of Cups. It came up in the card messages and the daily card messages this week. I mentioned it. And I don't know if anybody remembers it or if you were on the Facebook page. And it's so interesting that this deck, this particular card, looked so much like the vision that I saw, I mentioned at the beginning of the year with the clouds, and which led me to understand that this is going to be a breakthrough year. And here it is. This deck, is not traditional at all. I don't know if you can see this card clearly. Hopefully there's not too much of a gloss. But if you could just look up above his head and see the circular pattern of the clouds and the electricity in it. I don't know if that's coming through clearly. Hopefully it is. And this is what I saw, actually. And Lula says, yeah. Angie, right? I think Lula said her name was, okay. So, yeah. And so this is what, and what's interesting about this card, so I did a meditation with this card. And if you ever do something like this with your tarot cards, you should really try it. And I just stepped into the card. I stared at the card and just made a mental, recorded the imagery. And, one of the most striking things in this card, because, we know this card, the Nine of Cups, traditionally is about, fulfillment, emotional fulfillment and success. And so you see that there's a scorpion at the, I guess it's a gorilla or chimpanzee's foot. And in this joy, there's this threat, right? To be by the scorpion to sting. But when I went into this card, the animal was completely undisturbed by the scorpion's presence. And what I remember being told is that, that whole idea of how we make things we make something out of nothing. And you may say, well, the scorpion isn't nothing. But it was this whole idea that the dark and the light, the yin and the yang, these opposing forces do not duel with one another. They accept one another, like their roles. And it's our ego that projects onto the neutrality of these energies. It projects onto them and creates something out of nothing. And so this is how we're actually drawing to ourselves, how our thoughts and our perceptions about our thoughts create our reality, right? And so part of the way we've been misusing our ego is that we create a lot of something where there was really nothing. Does that make sense? And so part of this breakthrough is going back to these very basic understandings. This is wisdom that's buried deep within our soul. This is a knowingness that comes from our beginning, our origins, and it also has been reinforced in every one of our lifetimes, right? But we don't remember. But the information is there. And when I stepped into the card, I had never thought that thought or had that sort of awareness. But as I stepped into the card, I was given the opportunity in this meditation to reconnect with that clarity, with that deep, profound wisdom. And so one of the things, as you can see at the top of the card and behind him, so now if he has this acceptance and awareness and that this balance, that these forces create harmony. So it's like in music, you have a unison note, one note, right? But to have harmony, you have to have more than one note. And the yin and yang, or the light and the dark, they are like two perfect, notes that create this beautiful harmony. It's our ego that creates the dissonance in our reality. When we take things personally, when we project our suspicions and our assumptions onto this neutral creation that just simply wants to provide us with every opportunity to be happy, that's what the duality, the variety, the contrast is there to present us every opportunity to be happy. You said it's how do you say that? Macaca? Okay. Oh, you always arrive on time. Okay. We always arrive on time. So yeah, 33-222, and I forgot the other one, but the 33 is about the Ascended Masters are with you. So you probably have some guides that are coming to you and working with you. And one of the things about the guides, your guides, and this was Nina, is that they are always, so the spirit world is always a part of our reality, whether we acknowledge them or not. I mean, consciousness, if you want to look at that, we're all a part of consciousness. Consciousness is a part of us, and we're a part of consciousness. There's no separation of consciousness. So it kind of feels good to talk about our reality or personality as a state of consciousness, because we can more perceive in alignment with the non-physical, right? So we can see how that there is no separation. It's hard when we talk about ourselves in the physical and physical aspects. We find it very difficult to make that distinction and that connection between those two very opposing distinctions, right? Again, that duality. But again, the non-physical and physical are like two notes that create a harmony, and it's about noticing in what way can you resonate with another note, with another person or another circumstance, because when you're experiencing a dissonant note, It means that that's your projection. And that's really hard for us to accept, because, we think that the universe is happening to us, which means we think that people are doing things to us. That's where the blame thing comes. That's your ego's perspective. Somebody's doing something to me. Hi, Rosalinda. Somebody's doing something to me. Somebody's throwing my day off. All these people got in my way today. Blah, 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 blah. That's ego. That's the belief that the world is happening to me. Hi, Kathy. Instead of the world is happening because of me. Yes, it does. It reminds you of the high priestess, doesn't it? And I keep getting distracted a little bit, but so yeah, what's interesting about that, and with the high priestess, it means like there's usually a veil there. But what's interesting in this is that for the first time in this card, we're seeing beyond the veil. The veil is gone. Good connection there, and the veil is thinning and opening towards us. But there are challenges, and there's a staircase in there. If you can see that, a winding staircase right towards the sun. And the sun representing our our ascension. Archangel Metatron works with the sun beyond our sun, where he is using the energies, the bandwidths and frequencies of the central sun to create the frequencies that we need in order to for them to boost our 12 strands of DNA and to activate that, rather. So it's interesting that in this whole image, as if someone was really thinking about all of this. Oh, no, you didn't distract from the topic. No. I wouldn't have said anything if you were. It's just that my mind, I realize when I'm, connecting with people, I realized that there are many layers to us, to our consciousness. So everything fits, Nina. There are many layers to our consciousness, and it's interesting that you've triggered this conversation, because I don't know if others like me are out there where I can really just sort of, I feel like sometimes when I'm talking in conversations with people, that as I'm listening to them, I'm picking up on so many different strands of information, of consciousness. And sometimes I would get lost, and the people on the other side who are not like you, who appreciate listening to me, would find it very confusing. Like, oh my God, what did you just say? Like where were you just going with all of that? And what I realize is that the multi-dimensional and multifaceted aspect of every soul, so every soul personality is multifaceted and multidimensional. And just imagine all of these facets, like on a diamond, just shining and emitting its own light, its own information, its own frequency and code, and it's connecting with and tuning into all of the multidimensions and the multifacets of another person or another thing or another situation, because this is what really exists. It's hard for us to conceive because we're focused. Our consciousness appears to be focused only on one thing that is in front of us, or the thing that has our attention, but it is not really so. And so for me, I realized that some people who, come to me knowingly, choosing me to engage me for what will come from me, are ready and open and receptive to that. Others who are not will feel overwhelmed by it. But when I didn't understand this, it kind of tripped. It made me sad a lot because people were just like, oh, I don't like what you're saying, like leave me alone, kind of thing. And then I realized, and so now that I realize how this interaction is occurring in the universe, because there are just so many aspects to us, and notice I said soul personality, and that personality has many facets. So that the many facets of that personality, so the one that the one that you're aware of, is the one that's focused in this three-dimensional reality. The other facets are communicating with other dimensions and other realities. Blow, blow, blow. Mind, right? I would even go so far to say is, yes, which brings us all together like a puzzle. And it brings our physical world together like a puzzle, because everything has consciousness. It's just that it's vibrating at a consciousness that may not be the same as our soul consciousness, but the chair, everything that's holding you up. And all of this is in the matrix of the physical reality, which is a level of consciousness and et cetera, et cetera. And so, because our physical reality is technically an illusion, the reason your consciousness is communicating with all of the things that are in your environment, because they're all there because of you. They've been attracted to you and are there and are created because of you, and are responding still to you. And you may not be even aware of those levels. I'm just giving you an example of levels of dimension that we may not even be thinking has dimension to them. But that's why there is so much information that we're always picking up. So much more information. And I think the lead into this, and thank you, Nina, is I'm kind of getting it right now when we're looking at that picture and this breakthrough year and this whole ascension process, and thinking about that the veil is not here, because I'm drawn to the fact that the veil is not here, which means the veil is thinning. The one that's been keeping all of the information hidden from us in order that we could live in this three-dimensional reality, and all those lessons that we needed, that we set out and to accomplish, and the karma that we were carrying around with us. Now we're going to emerge from this kind of reality, and we're ready to embrace more facets of the dimensionality, I guess, if that's a word or not, but sorry if it isn't, but something comes to my mind right now. But you get where I'm going with this. And so this means that in order for us to really embrace this and to be prepared, we have to start seeking harmony with the contrast, with the duality. Yep. Yeah. And this is what's been going on for a long time with most of us who've entered from the beginning of our being here on this planet. It's just been very sensitive. We've been walking, you can feel that you've been walking through, each person has their own matrix. They have their own projection from their consciousness, from their ego that surrounds them. And you can feel it. You and I can feel that. I say so many times, that you can go to two different houses, but they look exactly the same, with everything in them furnished to the detail, exactly the same. But the people inside will have two different kinds of consciousness or spirits. And so, and they will feel very differently. And so this is why Because if you think the world is happening to you, then that is something you've got to let go of. And you've got to start understanding that everything's happening because of you, and everything is coming from from your consciousness, the way that you are perceiving yourself and the beliefs that you're cultivating through the experiences that you are choosing for yourself. And that's why we have to be more discerning and discriminating about what we're choosing. And, I like to always say, don't think about what you shouldn't do. Think about what you really want to do. Put your attention to that, because that has less resistance as a process within itself, right? Yeah, let me tell you, Bernadette, it's wild to see myself too. So thank you. So, wow, this Marielle tarot deck, I mean, there's some really provocative cards, and some can be a little disturbing, but this really is a great deck for really meditating. I know a lot of people talk about shadow work and all that kind of stuff, but, if what I find it interesting is that these cards are like dream language, and our dreams are the most revealing in terms of reality, the most revealing and the most experimental, and the most we're free in our dream reality to really sort of merge with other facets of our consciousness. How do I spell the title for what? The Marielle tarot? Is that what you're talking about? It's like Mary and then E-L tarot. It's on Amazon, and you can get it. You're going to read a lot of bad reviews about it because of the card stock, something about. But the thing is, I don't shuffle my decks like really hard. I do hand over, and I'm very gentle with this process, so that I just don't go around like just, So if you take care of your decks, it'll last. But it's a deck worth having. So yeah. So all right. So what I want to do is go ahead and pull a card. I was going to use the Light Seers Tarot that I've been using this year. This is the Light Seers Tarot, and I know there are 2 editions, but I still like the first one. And I haven't bought the borderless one yet because I'm waiting for the new one to come out. But I think that I used to be kind of scared of decks, and was worried about, I think people are worried about things like influences, and these are just cards. Remember, I just said that consciousness, there's nothing that does not have consciousness. But it's just that there's a level of consciousness that a thing has versus a soul. And what the consciousness that it has is for its function, okay? So, I don't know, I just had this feeling like a computer chip. It's like every computer chip, or of course I may be going into something I really don't know a lot about, but I'm just going to imagine it for a minute. But it's just like going into creating a computer chip for a particular reason and purpose, and you put on that chip the components or the processes that is needed to operate that device, no more, no less. And so the piece of wood or this telephone or anything, these cards have a consciousness, but only the consciousness that it needs to function for its purpose. So the cards can never be evil, and the images of the art cannot. This is something that we have to get past. And whatever comes up in the cards that you're using and that you're seeing is there to respond to something that you need. They are projections. They're mirrors of the projections that your ego is putting out there. And all they're doing is acting as a mirror. And you say, well, how do they do that? Because within this image, there's so many things. And like, I focused on the scorpion. Now, I may focus on more things because, I read, that's what I do. I read the tarot and I love it. And I'm really into symbolism. And even my own visions are like symbols, like on the tarot cards. And that's what allows me to speak to you and to help. And so the angels give me symbols that reflect back as a mirror the projections that people that I'm working with are utilizing in their lives. And that is either causing them release or restriction. And so that's how you should look at the cards. You should feel honored to pick up any deck that first you resonate with. That's the first thing. But if you're afraid of the deck, then that has nothing. That is a projection. That's a dissonance. That's one of those, that's not a chord. Okay? That's your ego. Now, if a card stirs, like a deck, an entire deck really resonates with you. Hi, Camilla. And then you look at this deck and you get this one card, and then something strikes you in that card or shakes you to your core, then that is an opportunity for healing. That is the card mirroring back something to you that you're utilizing, and the way that you're utilizing it and for what reason, that also will be a part of that that experience in that moment. So once you know that overall you're excited about a deck and it resonates with you when you see it, and then when you get it in your hands and it resonates with you, and remember, it may not resonate with you for forever. Again, the consciousness of the deck is also interacting with your consciousness and all the facets and all the dimensions, and knows and is programmed to understand when you have need of it and no longer do. And so you will be turned off and you'll put it aside, and you'll be encouraged to pick up something else because that has what you need. Okay? Yes. Yes. And that's why it's always good to keep, meditating every day, because meditation is a practice for finding that harmony within yourself. The harmony, the center, the ground, the balance, the inner peace, the enlightenment, and want to just add something sort of like those aspects of yourself that do not resonate or that are not working with you. Yeah. So, so let's see, because I want to see how long I want to do. So I want to go through, let's just do a brief meditation first. And let's see what comes up. So I won't wonder in my mind like what to do next, but let's just see what comes up. And because for any work that you do, pause, right? Take that sobering deep breath. And just notice how that feels. I can kind of feel, even though we're not hearing one another, but I can feel the hype of energy. And that is also good. It's not imperfect in any way. But when we take that sobering deep breath, we all of a sudden, everything falls away. And that calm comes over us. And we're just left with our own inner light and our true purpose and our true source. And when you're meditating, sometimes you're trying to do nothing, or you're trying to get something, right? But that feeling after you took that deep breath, that void, that's delicious. We always have so many things going on or worrying about what's not going on, but we're never just being, right? That's what I think being would be. It's in between always having something going on and worrying about not having something going on. So, yeah. So let's just center into our heart space. And at the core of your soul, see in the distance, or however near you already are to it, your heart flame set ablaze with the sacred fire of Source and its unlimited love and possibilities, its harmony and peace, its sustaining joy and creativity and abundance that's ever unfolding as you are being all of this by just being still and being present and coming to the feast of your soul and your heart. And it feels like there is energy in the heart chakra that we really, really need to let go of, and that may be the part that of the breakthrough in this year and the things that we'll be confronting. And they're showing me the third eye, and in that moment, I just feel like there's so many things that we think we know. And right now, moving forward, there's going to be so much hallelujah kind of sense that we won't know. Because that means that those things don't have to function that way any longer in order for you to feel safe. Things don't have to function that way in order for you to exist. So let's really embrace difference, things being different. Let's really embrace not having that control that we like, because it makes us feel as though we're the captain of our ship. You're already the captain of your ship, whether you have to, sort of, how do you want to say, toot your own horn, It's this feeling like, somebody who walks around saying, yeah, look at my muscles, I'm in control, I'm the captain of my ship. When we all know that when people do that's really an insecurity, yes? So every day that we feel like, so people are doing things that I don't like, and I might, God, I just feel overwhelmed and this is not in my control. Like, how am I going to get control? That's not empowerment or source, is it? That's really the insecurity of our ego. So we need to really let that go. And anything that just comes to your mind, you can't think of it, just throw it into your heart flame and feel the release in your heart chakra. Even if you can't identify, and if it just feels like broken glass, that you just throw it and it'll dissolve and it'll go back to some proper use for you. And I am seeing Jesus in terms of the name has been written in front of me, which is letting me know that his presence is with us because he is the healer of the heart, one of the major healers of the heart. That's really one of his primary functions as an ascended master, a keeper of the light, to help us to heal our hearts, to release any suffering, to let go of pain. Because these things really cause us to incriminate others and ourselves. They cap us. They cap our potential for love. And before we think about being in love, we should think about being able to love as fully as we can ourselves and life, our work, our purpose, our roles, all the facets of us, our own soul's technology, and the wiring that we have that seems to stick out like such a sore thumb in the presence of others. We worry so much, like the writing of Angel number 96, and of course I left my book over there, but the impression I'm getting from this number is about the 9 and this your life purpose, and 6 worrying, about your life purpose, and feeling the feelings of inadequacy, the struggle that this creates within us. And instead of just focusing on what we love and exploring our imagination to find more pleasurable and enjoyable ways to exist within that role that is calling us from our hearts, we need to sort of set aside that panic button, that worry, the aspect of that 6, to set that aside. It's like they're writing up the word body, and I feel like they just want you to pay attention to your body. Not so much to pay attention to the physicalness of your body, but to pay attention to your body as an instrument that is processing the signals of how you're functioning and how others are functioning around you, and how that function works together. Is it harmonious, or is it full of dissonance? And what should be your priority? When we go on and on about how people don't fit the bill, of what we would like, we're so in war within our reality, and lack. And that's coming from lack, because you're picking on things that people don't have, they should have, according to your way of thinking. But if you focus on being happy, which means that then you have to find things about that person that you admire. then you're sowing the seeds of peace and harmony. And if you focus on what you admire in someone, that's to say, what are the things that you admire? And look for them. Because reframe your projections. You can do that. You are that powerful because you are like the Creator who knows how to make a way out of no way. You can pull back that veil of illusion and see right to their truth. Be like that teacher who always sees the good in every student, who finds the good in every student, and enables herself to be of great assistance to those students. I remember a teacher, when I was teaching, my mentor teacher, Sue French, and because I taught everybody in the school, I kind of knew like who was like this and which student was like this, and she would never want to hear about any of the students that she was about to receive, because she wanted to start off by seeing the best in them, and I really believe that she was able to imagine the best in them. And that's what they gave her, mostly. Nobody's perfect. But when you have that overwhelming, dominant way of connecting with people, engaging them, even when they have their moments, they're going to shake that off because you are holding the dominant vibration. That's how powerful each of us is, and that's why our love for one another is so essential and key in terms of how we use it. Okay, so what I want to do is go ahead and I'm just not feeling the Light Seers Tarot for this. And I'm going to go ahead and use the Marielle and see what we get for the month of January and February and then March. So what we want to look at is what is it that we can create? What opportunities, how can we focus our energies in order to create out of this the most opportunity for ourselves in each month as we participate in our own ascension, our own breakthrough. So the universe is already laying the groundwork for the breakthrough. And so we want to know, what can we do to focus in alignment with that? How can we find harmony with the contrast that has always existed and will forever exist? But what's going to happen, this age of peace that people are talking about, is that we're no longer going to struggle with it. We're going to be just like, I'm so sorry, I cannot pronounce that word, but the Japanese animal that you mentioned. How are we going to be like him? Where he has no beef with the scorpion and the scorpion has no beef with him. And that is a true age of peace, where every expression of God as a soul, as an entity or spirit, is truly being the best version of who they are, because they are no longer fighting against all that exists. So let's take a look, and I'm just going to invite you to ask this question in your heart. How can you best participate for yourself? How can you focus your energies for yourself And let's just start with the month of January. Whoa. Let's see what kind of happens. So these cards are going to give us some really unexpected imagery. And that's why I think it's probably going to be really essential to use this deck. Because remember, this is going to be so different and we need to think differently. So, and that's what these cards are going to help mirror for us, is how to think, how to step into that, how to step beyond the veil. So just, if everybody's focusing with me, and I like to just ask Source to overlight this reading. And then I call up the energy matrix for the month of January 2020. And our I am collective I am presence. I'm seeing dolphins as I'm doing that. Our higher self soul and our spiritual and physical essence of our multidimensional and multifaceted soul personality, as well as our Ascension God team of unconditional love. As we just focus in on the energy grid, or the energy matrix for January 2020. And that intention of just seeking to discover not only just what's going to happen, but really to focus on how we can be more active in creating, co-creating the ascension frequencies within our reality, to draw upon that consciousness and bring it forth, as they're saying. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut the cards. I tend to cut the cards, and let's see if this is the one. Yep, and just turn it over. Okay, so this is the Seven of Discs. Haha. And I'm gonna take a look at this card, but and then I'm gonna let you see it. Wow. And so this card has this dark mountain, and over the cliff in between these two mountaintops is the sun, sort of almost a solar eclipse. And these coins that have these astrological symbols on them. And I don't know, like these blue flames, and at the bottom almost looks like the splashing of almost like lava or something. And the orange colors, for me, this is a lot about the ascension. This is the aura that Archangel Metatron works with, this golden orange ascension frequency. So this is the ascension frequency, and there's a lot of this color here. Now, the sun looks eclipsed, but it also looks like a sunflower, doesn't it? Now, this card is about the long haul, like the long-term investment, that you're waiting for something. You've invested and you're in something, and you're waiting for it to come to fruition. And so you've followed through with the process of sowing and nurturing, and now your job is really to just to be aware of the evolving turn of events. So in one aspect, in this card, there's a lot of this dark area. So there's a lot that's unseen, which fits in with this traditional understanding. There's a lot unknown to you right now. There's a lot that you will have to overcome. There's a lot of steps of elevation, the mountaintops. There's a lot of reaching, and that reaching has a lot to do with, reaching beyond the what you normally do, your habits, this is like stepping out of the comfort zone, stepping out of all of the little, I want to just say tricks, manipulations, the cycles we keep playing over and over again, and really just allowing yourself to reach higher. So to reach higher in your goals and your dreams, in your aspirations. Now this is 7, 8, 9. So this is the last part of I call this the third stage of any suit. So it's 1 to 3 is like the first stage, 4 to 6 is the middle stage, and 7 through 9 and then 10 is the last stage. So this if you're here, this means don't give up at this point with any 7. Like don't turn around and go back home. Stay the course. This is there's the odd number here, 7. There's an instability, but this is a time for the 7 in numerology of the tarot is just sort of about reevaluating, discovery, and out of that, reflection comes discovery. So this month is going to be a month of discovery for you. You're going to be discovering things about the processes that you've been working with. Just thinking about a gardener, you've used a press. What did I just say? Because I just looked at her thing. You've been using a certain procedure, a process, and you're waiting, and things haven't sort of materialized in the way that you thought. So, here's the thing where you want to look at, the situation. You want to say to yourself, if I keep getting the same results, I keep getting the same results, then it means I need to change something. Oftentimes people are asking the wrong question and they keep getting the wrong answer, or the answer they don't like. So that means you got to go back and get to the heart of what is the question that's really on your heart, because the one you're asking is not it. You think it is. That's why I like saying, oh, I want to know what's going to happen, but why do you want to know that? What's on your mind? See, by not asking that question, you're not allowing yourself to get to the heart of what's really bothering you, which may have nothing to do with that generic question, So take a moment to just see this card and take it in and go into your imagination once you feel like you really see this card. Yes, there are symbols on the golden coins. My astrology is very weak, so I see some things like probably Venus or Mars or the moon, the sun. Maybe I'll know a little bit. Well, okay, let me just give you a chance to see. And you got 3 on one side and 4 on the other side, So there's an imbalance. You can see that by the one is higher than the other. And those blue flames, the cooling flames. Okay? So just what imagery comes to you? What sticks out for you in this card? And take a moment to reflect on that, write that down, whatever impressions that come into you about this. So now ask yourself the question, how can you create or participate in your own ascension process in this month? What is this card asking you to do or showing you in order to create an alignment with the heart, with the energies. Yeah, they do remind of comments, yes. Okay, like you said, the witch runes. I can, if you can see it, I mean, it's backwards. I don't know if it's backwards in your view, but those are definitely like some astrological symbols too. But whatever that means to you, like go with that. If you're seeing, it reminds you of which runes, then you go with that and write that down and talk in your, and see what that, does for you. Okay. Yeah, planetary symbols. Okay. Mm-hmm. But it's like the one thing is there's so much black in this card, and that's the part that we don't need to be afraid of. That's the yang energy, the feminine energy, that's the creative womb. That's the place where we can be most limitless. It's the seen aspects, even these seen symbols, that sometimes can create more limitations than the unseen ones. So that there's so much black in this card tells you that there are infinite opportunities that you are going to be able to tap into. So whatever it is that you're doing right now, whatever it is that you're working on, you have access to an unlimited amount of potential in January. And that you have, so much room for change, for freedom, free license to make just choices that fit you, instead of worrying about the choices that, everybody else feels is okay for us. Yes, our flame is going to brighten up the darkness. That's right. And your heart flame has all the wisdom and has all the potential and has already understood what you want to create. So when you go within and you get those little ideas, don't discredit any of them. You don't need to do that, because when you listen, when you receive them, if they inspire you enough, you'll know that this is right. You'll know that you're resonating with them. You'll feel the harmony of your own intuition. But if your intuition really, if something that you receive doesn't seem like that great of a hit for you, you'll know it, because you just won't have any, it'll feel like a little, like, it won't work for you. You can't make it, you can't make up inspiration. You can't make up passion. So when you're not feeling it, just move on. Okay? Okay, thank you everybody for this, clarifying those symbols for us. And so I'm going to leave this one here, and let's go ahead and prepare ourselves. And this time, all we need is just to call up the energy matrix for February collectively. And just feel that. Now, before I go on, I'm just remembering the dolphin energy, and I'm now seeing this really large tree with this thick base. But there's also there's I don't know if I've ever seen a base of a tree like this, but there's almost like this, like a fold layers at the bottom, as if there was a pot or two leaves that cross each other at the bottom of the base of this tree. So I don't know what that means. That's new. The tree almost bark seems white too. So that for me is ascension, and about the connection. The trees for me about your connection to your higher self. But I'll go back to that. If I forget it, just remind me. I just want to get that out. So the dolphin energy in this card, first card too, that I saw two dolphins, facing one another, and wow, the dolphins have this, they carry this frequency of joy, don't they? And these very high frequencies of light or sonics, right? That are very powerful and very healing. And so the dolphin energy too, I feel it just being so healing to the heart, to your heart chakra. And it's possible that what they were doing and showing up first was, first of all, as guides to help you. And I'm sort of sensing Atlantis bringing back your talents and gifts. So a part of that unknownness in that first card, so just before I go on, I guess, is bringing up some of those ancient gifts and talents. For some of you who may have had a lifetime in Atlantis, bringing up healing abilities for some of you. And this may be self-healing for others, and for some of you, you may be obviously self-healing, because we always heal when we heal others. So that it's coming up as well. And just that sense of release, relief, at the end of the tunnel, this joy at the end of this journey of between the horizons of this mountain. And that eclipse energy is that something is going to break for you. So, that's how breakthroughs happen, because once something eclipses our mental pattern, our ego mental pattern, like we have an eclipse. That mental pattern, because people keep trying to keep saying, well, I gotta fix this thing. And somebody said, don't worry, and you keep worrying because you think if you don't do something, you're not gonna get a result. And it never happens that way. That's not what happens. Something eclipses your mind, that mental pattern you hold on to, and that's how the breakthrough, the new information, the insight, like in the Tower card, pooh, that's how it comes through. Okay? So something at the end of this journey is going to happen. Oh, really? Ghost gums. Okay. Something towards the end of this journey of this month is going to eclipse your mental patterns so that you can move on to the next stage and start really digging in to what you want to do, which would be the Eight of Pentacles or the Eight of Discs, right? All right. So, what about the gum trees? Can you tell me? While I'm going to go ahead and pick this next card, I feel like I'm seeing a peacock in the shadows of my third eye. And the number 9. Help me remember, because God, these visions go like they flash, and I'm very forgetful. Okay, so peacock and number 9, and tuning in now to the energy for February. And how we can focus our energies to create and participate, creating the harmony of the reality of harmony, and working with those 2020 Ascension energies. I also saw the word help, okay? And legato. And I feel like legato in music means smooth, so something's gonna come and smooth things out, you're looking for help and something is going to smooth it out. But let's just see. So the peacock with all those beautiful plumes, right? And talking about the life purpose. And I feel like with the peacock just spanning out like that, that's about, having more options and greater. I'm seeing the word greater options. Month of February. Okay. Energy grid for the month of February. All right. And, interesting. Not what we're expecting. But the information is never wrong. So we're going to have to put this information I just talked about with this information that is opposing that information I was talking about. So there's going to be, somehow it all ties together. So I'll just trust that what needs to come back to my mind will come back to me. So we have the Eight of Swords. Now it's interesting because I had the sneaking suspicion that we were going to go from 7 to 8. I felt right at the end that we're going to progress. And so you're saying, wow, well, that whole thing with the peacock and I'm going to already forget the other, see, I told you, other images that I saw, the opportunity. If somebody could just put them up there to what I said so that I can see them. I remember the tree. Oh, okay. An old native tree, very old, strong, ghost gums native. Okay, interesting. Saw a peacock. Oh, you saw a peacock in the tree. Oh, wow. The number 9, thank you. Just put them there, and then if everybody can put them there in one, then don't write anything else so that I can see it, so I can. Where the dolphins was the previous one, but just what I was talking about when I was pulling this card. Okay, so the Eight of Swords. So this is a card that shows, okay, this gate, all right, about the Atlantis. It feels like you're locking yourself in. But I don't know if you can see way back there's a tower and there's a figure standing at the tower, and there's this winding road here. And the gates do not have locks on them, okay? So there's no lock on the gate at all. And there are vines growing. So that's strikes me as well. Growth and opportunity, flowers blossoming there. All of this is at the entrance. All this is wonderful imagery. And she's not locked. There's no lock on, the door is wide open. She has it. So what is she afraid of? She's just afraid of walking down that path. So like everything we were just talking about with the span of the peacock's plumes, these beautiful opportunities sort of being laid out in front of us. So what is it? We're shocked. Like we don't know how to deal with that because the old image would close up, clam up. That old projection would clam up and shut down what was there. So let's just be clear. Nothing new is ever going to happen, but wait for it though. That is to say that the universe has always been abundant. Whether you have seen strife or hardship or freedom or blessings, however you perceive on any given day or for any amount of time, the universe has always been consistent. in offering the full spectrum, the plume, just like that, the peacock's plumes. And it's beautiful. It's an intense beauty. So much so that, like anything, you can see it the way you want to see it. And you do. So the opportunities, because, I don't want you to get like, ooh, I can't wait. There's going to be these wonderful opportunities. Ooh, this is what's wrong with people getting into this predictive mode about a reading. And instead of being in the mode like, what can I look at in myself? What can I change in myself to be open to it? Because that's really the only thing that's going to make any difference for you. Not what I tell you may happen, but how you decide you are going to show up for that experience. How you're going to work towards it, even if you can't see it. How you're going to start thinking differently and functioning differently so that you can be in alignment with what always exists. Opportunities always exist, just like misfortune exists, because the universe, remember, the universe, the physical world is a projection of your consciousness. So because we have a dual mind, ego, and our divinity, the full spectrum is always created. And it's what you end up believing within yourself and focusing on with conviction that you seem to always experience. And so you aren't trapped. And for the first time, you may have this breakthrough. This is the breakthrough that you may, and I'm saying may because it's up to you. Right? It's up to you what you experience. And this is what this card is saying, that the gates aren't locked. There are things blooming. I hope this is what you mean by speaking to the card, because I have been, and this is what I'm doing now. I'm tying it all together with my visions that were offering a symbolism of truth from higher consciousness with this card's consciousness and bringing them together, okay? Because this card was already encoded, the artist encoded a particular consciousness that has a lot of freedom within the consciousness of each one of us, right? So there's nothing, right, the law of attraction. There's no door locked here. There is a path with no one standing on it to block you. There's a door back there, if you can see that little light and the person standing in the door. I'm only saying it's a woman because it's along the dress, the red goes all the way down to the ground, and her shadow is on the pathway. She's not trapped in that castle. And all she's got to be willing is to walk that path. So the focus is, how should I walk the path? Because the path is pretty clear. It's about how should I walk this path? And some of those visions, wasn't there something else that I saw besides the plume and the tree? And this old ancient tree. So that tree lets me know, and the width of that tree bark lets me know, the width tells me how much consciousness you are able to process at any given moment. The thinner it is, the less connected, and the wider, the most connection that you have available to you. And it's a lot. And that whiteness is that ascension aspect that you are really going to be be a channel of ascension insights. So this is the card of the Eight of Swords about the mind. You're going to be receiving a lot of shifts, information in your consciousness. The number 8 is about mastery. So in the month of February, you're going to be mastering your limitations. You're going to have like a graduation, so to speak. But if you don't, then what you need to do is look at, if it's hard for you, if you find it hard to believe right in this moment, then that means that you gotta look at those things that you're telling yourself, because those are the things that are the self-imposed locks that the universe never puts on any. Like, the universe has a rule: no locks on any doors, because you have free will. Isn't that beautiful? No locks on any doors, you have free will. So when you start telling yourself, no, nothing ever works for me, everything goes wrong for me, then that means, yes, our truth is to be born like a peacock. Excellent. That means that you have got to look at, why do you believe that? And not from this thing, because this happened. No, based on what we know, and you know when I said that, because I felt it resonate within me when I said it. There are no locks on any doors. So that means we got to ask ourselves, how am I convincing myself to believe that? And then the question becomes, how can I stop convincing myself of this? And the only way that could be is that you have to start taking that pause, that breath, that reflection, try to reframe your fears, try to uplift yourself, and take a step at a time. Be patient. You don't have to rush, but just keep breaking that cycle. That breath, that pause, breath, reflect is a way to break the cycle. Because instead of jumping to the conclusions of your fears and suspicions, you're stopping. That's also, again, that eclipse thing that we were talking about. So that eclipse energy is going to be sort of towards the end of January. And now you need to really continue to use this process. I feel like that process that was given to us, it seems silly and it seems so too simple, but if you do it with everything, every time you get upset with somebody, you get upset about, you feel overwhelmed or too many things are happening, and you keep doing that, eventually your mind is going to say, okay, this is silly. Gotta stop doing this. So it's going to start to look for something else, and your imagination is going to look for another solution. Okay. Wow. So don't want this to go too long or nobody's going to pay attention. So let's take a look at March. Okay. And this will be the last one. How cute. And I really wanted to kind of, so again, take some notes about what struck you in this card or anything I said. Make a note for yourself about how you can participate in the harmony of the Ascension energies, the breakthrough energy for yourself. So think about that breakthrough. How can you have a breakthrough in this month? All right, so for March, and this is my month, my birthday month, but we're really looking at the new path that we're traveling. And I'm seeing the word God written in bold letters, like donuts, almost, but not quite that fat. And I saw one pillar on the left, a light pillar, but it's like a pillar. The other one is probably there, just in the shadows, the darker one. And of course, that's what I'm sort of seeing now on the other side. And there's a sort of an arc like this, as if you're, happily ever after, like you're walking through some gate to the end of something else. But and if you can just write those down, what I just said, just so I won't forget. Okay. So calling up the energy matrix for the month of March 2020. Looking for insights and about that month and how we can create our reality of harmony. Okay, the month of March. Okay, and see, I didn't do this, but it's the King of Cups. And, water sign, and most of that month, and that's me too, isn't it? So, wow, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's like let me just see. Yeah, he's lying in the water lilies, and it's Poseidon. And, wow, just really, really beautiful. And there's a lot of nakedness. And one of the things I like about this image for this card is about, for me, being comfortable in your own skin. I feel like the King of Cups is comfortable in his own skin. He's comfortable, and that allows him to be himself and to be the master of his emotions. So this is indicating that we're going to come into some sense of and look, and we had the number 8 before, 7, 8, and now we're talking about mastery. So what we're being asked to do in this month to create is a sense of being comfortable in our own skin and being the master of our emotions. That is to say that we've worked towards finding harmony within our emotional guidance system, that we embrace it, we see it as a tool to help us to be aware of the way we're thinking. Instead of letting the emotions sort of, how do I want to say this? Because I don't want to say it so cliche, like, take over our lives or run us. We're so afraid of our emotions. And for most of us, like we talked about at the beginning, we realized it was our gift. This is our gift. And whether you're clairsentient or not, it's still a gift to be able to feel and connect, because this is about the suit of relationships, and to be able to communicate. And that vibration of feeling is the language of non-physical, vibration, energy, and being able to feel and to be at harmony with that instead of struggling against it or feeling like something is, just taking over. Like you want all the noise to stop. You want all the feelings to stop because it's so overwhelming. But let's just say you're in, like I hate going to 34th Street because it's just a lot of energy there. And I need to stop saying that, like I need to just be with that energy while I'm there and not look at it as an attack against me, but what is it telling me? What is the energy? And it may be telling me something more than what I'm assuming. And so it's the same thing that you can do. What is it telling you? Like this pond, of course, we think of the flowers as beautiful, but there's a lot of just looking at the card, there's a lot of information, activity in that card. And he could be overwhelmed by it, but he's not, Like, for one, I would kind of be scared of what's crawling underneath all of that, because I can't, I'd rather be in clear water so I could see what's going on, right? But that doesn't bother him. He is aware of everything that is existing within this lake or river that he's lying in. Instead of worrying about what's there, he just instead connects in and senses it all. with all of the facets and the multidimensional aspects of his being. Right. Stop resistance. Stop resistance. So see that statement right there was sort of an answer for us. You know, we want things to be clear all the time because, and it's because we are afraid of tuning in. You know, we'd rather have our own, like you want to clear the space. But the thing is now instead of running away from or wanting certain criteria, embrace it. You have the ability to tune in now. And I really believe that your intuition is going to just escalate, expand as we go through these first 3 months with those previous processes that we were talking about. Because once we clear out those reasons for not being in our truth and not being our full potential, then we have just clearer communication, right? Nina, explain what, please. Oh, you were talking to Nina. Okay. So yeah, this is about now that you're going to be more, you're going to embrace all the information that comes to you. You're going to embrace all the facets of your being. So we've moved from the 7 of discs to the 8 of swords, and this is going to be backwards. Yep. But okay. and we move to this stabilizing aspect with the king here. So this journey, these first 2 journeys are going to take us there. So, you know, this is a really powerful first part of the year, moving towards, and, you know, you participating and focusing. So keep, you know, write down these cards, and, you know, with decks that you have, think about these cards, and in each month, use them as a meditation to ask yourself how you can step into the card and how you can really participate in your own ascension process. You know, when a court card comes up, that is a part of your personality that you want to focus on and how you can develop it. Let me see, that just faded. So if Barry said he feels overwhelmed with 35, oh, okay. You're just talking about it. Yeah, I mean, you know, Nina, I don't know who's asking you this question, but yeah, we have to stop, you know, because we're light workers, and we always talk about, oh, this energy is toxic and I don't want to be around it, and and, you know, we have to stop doing that, because nothing really has power or influence over us outside of ourselves. If we keep thinking and talking like that, and you know, I'm telling myself this in this moment too, then what ends up happening is that we give power to the things that weaken us. And so we have to really stop, you know, talking. We have to, that's why we meditate, we center, we breathe, do that pause, sobering breath, reflect, observe, so that we can gain perspective, so we can be like the King of Cups and just tune in. And when he tunes in, he's not judging anything. Just like the 9 of Cups card, he's not judging the Scorpion. He's not making something out of nothing. Coming right back to that. We have to stop making something out of nothing, and let nothing be nothing until it decides to be something to you. Let it offer itself to you. And then you'll know that you have aligned with it, that you find that what we call that divine timing, or the things have happened in a divine way or order. Okay? All right, so I'm going to stop there. I want to just kind of look back, and I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this, but if anybody has any questions right now about what we've talked about in the reading or anything today that could be clarified. Would just take like, the next 5-10 minutes. That with that understanding that I have to be able to keep my mouth from going on longer than 5 or 10 minutes. So I'm very long-winded. You would not like to sit down with my family because each one of us has a lot to say about life in this way, spiritually. So let's see. Yeah, it is the contrast that we see ourselves more authentically. Absolutely. Is there anything? 96 was the angel number that I saw. Yeah, it was 96. And 9 is about life purpose, and 6 is about not worrying. I'm not sure what the message was, from the book I often use is Doreen Virtue's book, Angel Numbers 101. There's a new book by Kyle Gray on angel numbers. I'm not going to talk about it right now because anyway, maybe I'll do a comparison between them. Okay. Well, that's what I wanted you to look at, Barbara. I wanted you to sort of go with the card, go within, and let it speak to you. Okay. It's not so much what should I do now, but what can I create for myself now? That's the question I really want you to look at, because that puts you into action mode rather than just waiting. Not so much action, but co-creative mode. Let me see. So 138, 11. Okay. So with these numbers, like the 111 and those sequences, and actually today is 111. What I remember that came is that the 1111 has to do with a soul contract. It's like the universe is saying to you, it's reminding you that this moment is important. This is something that you have contracted to do, and that to really step into the moment of this. So really be aware that every time you see it, that you are doing something or that you're on a path. It's almost like it's guiding you and telling you, yes, this is important. This is what your soul really wanted to fulfill here, and you're in that context to be able to do it. Now, the problem is that we all keep thinking that something, it's always something so grand, and you don't see the smaller things that aren't small, but they change. They make the world of difference in who you can be and what you can do. And that's where the angels will always point you towards, because those things are very important. 138, has to do with the manifestation. The 3, your guides or ascended masters, and 8 about abundance or finances. So, pay attention to your thoughts. About as they're creating the kind of abundance that you're looking for, but that your guides are working with you and helping you, guiding you to opportunities that will help you to manifest your desire or your dream. So that's, Barbara, what those numbers are sort of referring to. So really when you see the 1111 or 1111, just be aware, okay, whatever I'm doing right now is really important. It's a part of, it's something I'm meant to do, even if I'm resisting it, even if I'm like feeling overwhelmed. Don't try to jump out of it. Stay there. Take that breath. Embrace it until it reveals itself to you. you don't understand, just keep being, give your best until it reveals itself to you. Okay? So a book to start off learning the tarot. Let me just tell you the best way to learn the tarot. The best way to learn the tarot is to own a lot of tarot. And I don't mean to say you got to go out and buy a lot of cards, but the best way to learn the tarot is because each one of these decks is like an encyclopedia of on each card, but just a different spin on it. And so that's the best way. How many books are? I tell you, I like Rachel Pollack's book on the 7 degrees of something over there. The 7 degrees. I think it's called The 78 Degrees, by Rachel Pollack. It really reads like poetry. If you're really interested in just understanding each card. So that would be the book I would recommend. But for me, I just, I look at them, I may not even use a lot of them, but I just look at them from time to time and go through them like I'm reading, and the symbolism just speaks to me. It's like going to a museum, and it's the best way because it's how it hits you intuitively, what you pick up from it is really what the meaning is for you in that moment. Of course, the structure of the card plays a part in it, but it should not be this rigid frame that you cannot. It's very flexible, each image of the card. Do the images come from the heart? I really would believe so. Especially since art inspires people so much. I really would say that they do. I'm just trying to go back. So Bernadette, am I clairaudient? Wow. So yeah, so clairaudience is I'm more visual and feeling, clairsentient. Clairaudient, so I think I may have explained this before, but all of a sudden, it'll be like this strong sense. So all the clairs work together. Behind every clair for me is claircognizance, clear knowing. You always have that when operating in the background of each one of these. It's what allows you to understand them. And we have wisdom that we just don't know that we're actually using at times. But it is claircognizance. And so the clairaudience, all of a sudden, it's like I'm, like the best way I can describe it is like all of a sudden I'll just be sitting here and it feels like I'm hearing a tune, or a tune just comes to my mind. And you know how you don't even know you're hearing the tune at first, and it just keeps playing and playing, and then all of a sudden you pick it up and you start singing it, and then you realize, boy, I've been singing that for a while, or I've heard it in my head for a while. And for me, that's what clairaudience is, the kind that you don't, I think there's two forms, like if you hear, like all of a sudden, I have heard like a voice, just like I would hear somebody physically. But when the clairaudience where I don't hear it like a physical, it's like it's almost like it works through the imagination, but it's just so strong. It's like you can't even deny it, kind of thing. Yeah. So it's not like a voice in my head, but it's like you just know it's a sentence or a thought that's just not yours. Something keeps telling you to light your candle. Why? Well, I didn't light my candle tonight, but the candle, first of all, that fire, energy, inspiration, just think of the suits, because the tarot really is life. It's alchemy. And so when you think of fire, you think of light, you think of spirit, you think of energy, supportive energy. So you probably need support. But you have your own light within you. The light of that candle really is the same light within you. It is the frequency of your soul, and so the light gives you a boost. You don't need it, but it gives it to you, and you probably need it right now. Okay. All right. Let me just, because I saw some questions. Okay. Well, let's see. Yeah. Oh, Kathy, about exposing our vulnerability. Yeah, because how else are we going to be free from it? You know, we can't let that secrecy, that veiling, is what keeps us sort of under the puppet strings of our ego, doesn't it? Once the ego doesn't have an attachment, a way to keep us hanging on a string, or chained, like it's almost like being extorted, being bribed. And when we hide things, we can bribe ourselves, we can extort ourselves, and shame ourselves, and that kind of thing. I'm trying to find a way to scroll down. Let's see. There will be a replay, I hope. Yeah, so next week, there will be a replay of this. As soon as I'm done, it automatically goes up. Next week, we're going to have the second part. Oh, God, I think I put part 2 on this video, and it's part 1. I think I have to go back and correct it. This is part 1. Next week will be part 2. The following week, same time, part 3. And the last week of this month should be part 4. If it's not the last week of the month, it's the next, then it'll still be a part 4, the very next week. Okay? Let's see. I'd just like to know. Okay. I'm just trying to take a look at the last questions, and then who introduced me to the tarot? Good question. Huh. I don't. There was a lady in my school where I was teaching, and or a grandmother. And she asked to see me, to give me a reading and she pulled out the Voyager Tarot deck. And I think the Voyager Tarot, I have it, maybe my first tarot deck, because I liked it. And she told me that I would be doing, she said, you have a lot of power, you'll be doing blah, blah, and she told me. And so every time I have ever had a crisis, I've run into her somewhere. In New York. And so that began my sort of interest in tarot, I think. Then I had, one day I had a sense about angels, just couldn't get, and I was walking past Barnes and Nobles and kept looking around for angels. I found a church called All Angels, and I tried to go in and sit down because I thought, well, maybe they'll talk to me here, or somebody wants to, but they weren't open to letting people come in. And so I walked past into the Barnes and Nobles, and I saw this deck called the Angel Oracle deck by Ambika Valters, and that was my first angel deck and introduction to angels. All right, let's see. Really, okay, and let's see. Quick and easy tarot deck. Oh yeah, there's a lot of easy decks out there. Like Christine's talking about getting the Pamela Coleman Smith beginner's deck, and there is something called Simple Tarot or Simply Tarot or something. There's a deck. It's like a Simple Tarot deck, and it's like outline drawings, and they have things written on it. I can't tell you who it's by right now, but if you want to remember it, but don't get caught up on the meanings. I mean, you'll learn them. You won't forget them if you look through any book on the tarot. The woman I'm studying tarot with right now, Biddy Tarot, Bridget Esselmont has a book called The Ultimate Guide to Tarot, and I think that one's probably really good because it has like all this stuff in it that relates to different situations. If you were in a love relationship, reading, da da da. But I think I haven't read her book, but I'm not really big into like I'll read something and I'll stop, like because I'll get something out of it, and then I don't know. It's not that the book isn't good. It's just that that's just how I am, I guess. At some point, I feel like I'm just done for now, and I may come back to it. But the 78 Degrees, I think it's really good reading, enjoyable reading. I have to have something that's enjoyable. Okay, I could just keep looking for stuff, and we'll be here all day. All right. So yeah, I'm not doing readings here today. So that's if I do that. If you want a reading with me, you can go to my website, theangelschool.com, and sign up for a reading there. And Barry, you can see. Oh yeah. Oh, Bernadette, about seeing on the wall. Raylene. Yes. So, in cards, do I see in the cards? No. My intuition and the claircognizance, or if I have my eyes closed, I may see visions, or I will see something on a wall. Yes, I can see. It's almost like scrying. I see a word or a drawing on the wall. I think I talked about that one time. I was seeing fairies. I saw this little leprechaun, and the wall just opened up to his whole, not like in color, but the wall I could just see like somebody had sketched without color on the wall, and it looked three-dimensional to me. No, nothing. It doesn't frighten me. Why? It's too miraculous to be frightening. I've stopped being afraid of any visions, because remember we were talking about that earlier, how they are mirrors and they're reflecting something back to you. No, nothing's evil. Of course somebody's gonna bite my head off for saying that, but evil is a projection of the ego. It's the ego. There's not evil, it's just ego. But I appreciate you for bringing that up. All right. No, I use tarot cards more now than I do oracle cards, but I do use them. I have just invested in a few more. So yeah, and you'll be seeing them. So I think I can feel that we are done, and I am so grateful to all of you for being here and showing up, and for what we will get out of this. Please leave your comments afterwards about what you got out of this. Those can be highlights for other people, so that when they're watching, they may get something from it, what you got out of our session today. And also, it will help me too to see how this is impacting you, but also because there may be something I will learn from you. You may have a message that triggers something for me as well in my own ascension process. So please feel free to do that. All right. Thank you all, and have a beautiful evening, Saturday night. God bless you. Bye-bye.